So after a week of Guardians of the Galaxy being available to the general public and using that time to get the feel for the game and finishing roughly a playthrough and a half, I can confidently say that this game is worth the purchase and strongly recommend anyone who may be apprehensive to give it a chance. All footage in the review is going to be captured from the first and third chapters of the game, specifically to limit spoilers, but to also be able to show off more of the combat sections and give a feel for what I'm talking about.
Tonight we ride straight into the fire. Are you ready to go, go, go? We'll make our stand. Don't give a damn.
Guardians of the Galaxy is a linear, third-person action-adventure game where you take control of the leader of Marvel's premier space mercenaries, Star-Lord, and command the Guardians through their toughest mission they have faced yet. Each of the characters in the game has 4 unique abilities that specialize in one of 4 damage types in combat, being damage, stagger, AoE, and traps. Several abilities combo off of one another in a manner that kind of reminded me of Anthem and their ability mixing features, just in a more complete product. Star-Lord commands each of the Guardians, and their attacks will be pivotal to making your way through the combat encounters, as you don't really do that much damage with element guns and melee. However, throughout the game, different enemies will have elemental shields / weaknesses that'll appear, giving a major boost to Star-Lord's effectiveness in the combat. Traversal is another big part of this game. Each of the Guardians have the abilities that can be used to either create pathways, knock down blocks to climb, or even move said blocks to get to other spots. Whilst this aspect of the game isn't anywhere near as important nor fleshed out as the combat, it's still a very well done feature, and even some of the environmental puzzles later on can provide a mix of several traversal and platform abilities together, just like how combat does.
I'll take you to the stars. I'll show you who we are. We're space riders with no name.
The story in Guardians is probably its strongest aspect, with all the heart and emotional beats of things like Spider-Man 2018, the action set pieces of things like Mass Effect, and the comedy of the James Gunn films, as well as several more important moments that make this game feel like one of the best versions of the Guardians ever seen in media outside of the comics, in my opinion. The voice cast is incredibly strong as well, and the standout in my opinion is probably Gamora, who brings both a hard edge that is needed for the daughter of Thanos, but also has a much more vulnerable performance than I was expecting her to have. Drax is up there as well, with perfectly conveying a man who has lost everything but has found another family in the Misfits that is, still learning social interaction to a point. However, in my opinion, the weakest is probably Rocket, who, while still turning in a great performance, sounded a bit more bland and only in really major character moments sort of branched out from more than just the angry teammate. The villains of the game, the Universal Church of Truth, aren't that great of a protagonist. They're mostly really carried by the Grand Unifier and another character which I'm not going to spoil because that's an endgame thing. Needless to say, the strength of Guardians of the Galaxy is in its writing and its character interactions among the Guardians themselves, and seeing other major characters from the mythos, such as Lady Hellbender and Cosmo the Space Dog. The dialogue options are another way of making the characters feel more invested in one another, as well as being able to press on specific topics, like, say, Gamora hiding something from the rest of the team, or being able to defend Drax and Gamora from Rocket insulting them. It's something that I really appreciated, and come the end of the game, it becomes a catalyst for some of the most hard-hitting emotional moments of the game. In terms of the technical side, I played Guardians of the Galaxy on a PlayStation 5 during performance mode, which is what the footage you'll be seeing here is on, running at 60 FPS at around 1080p. I never personally noticed any resolution drops, however the frame rate would occasionally drop below 60 during some of the more intense sequences, mostly towards the second half of the game. I did also have 3 crashes which required a game restart, which happened at different points at the end of the second act and during the third act as well. If resolution is what you're looking for, quality mode runs at 4K at 30. And frame drops will definitely be there as well, though at the frequency I can't exactly state, specifically because that was not what I played for.
We hear the sound of a million screams. Close your eyes and say your prayers. Open your eyes and we'll be there.
Guardians of the Galaxy is a fantastic release for Square Enix and Marvel games, and I just Montreal deserves all of the praise that they're getting for this game and more. Honestly, I hope that there's some story DLC that lets you play as other characters, similar to Final Fantasy XV, or better yet, just have a straight sequel on the way, simply because it would be a shame if Square Enix did not capitalize on the success of such an amazing product. Guardians of the Galaxy is a game you must own if you're a fan of comics, the movies, or even just simply single-player story-driven games.